Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you had a stimulating discussion. I know for us it felt short. We're going to do, speaking of short, a quick report back where each of the groups is going to give us a 1 to 2 sentence summary. And then we're going to put these together in some form that Jeff and I are still puzzling over what that will look like. But we will share it out with all of you when it is available. I know we had a lot to think about today and a lot to process. And I know for myself, I'll be thinking about all of this for many, many days to come. But I'm really looking forward to hearing from the different group facilitators about the conversation. So our facilitators are spotlighted. Which of you was group 1?
That was me.
All right, Sheila, let's hear from you.
Well, first of all, think about how far we've come. We've got a long way to go, but it feels as though there's some momentum. Talked a lot about normalizing things so that, we're just thinking everything is inclusive for everybody, looking at funding and how much we can do through collaboration. So bringing people together to work together towards positive change.
Thank you, Sheila, and thank you, group 1. Wonderful to hear. Who has group 2? Jenna.
Yes, so we had a wide-ranging conversation that, among other things, included a conversation about language and being respectful of individual preferences as a way to acknowledge the flexibility of disability as an identity. But we spent a lot of time talking about the work as solidarity work and sort of the commitments that we make to our students that guide our practice as educators, and acknowledging this idea that special training and special skills are important, but that when we've really made a commitment to valuing our students and welcoming them into conversations of their accessibility, we just figure out how to do it, and we figure it out in collaboration with young people.
Wow. Does sound like a very wide-ranging discussion. Thank you, Jenna, for sharing. This is great. Who has got group 3? Elizabeth.
So our group wanted to first uplift this framing of preparation, access, and opportunity, and we found that very helpful in connecting the dots between those phases of work. And then we also talked about, and I totally borrow this phrasing from my colleagues, how we can be the revolutionary on the inside of our organizations and harness our own creativity and that creative power to not overthink access solutions and just think one step at a time. What decision can I make today that furthers accessibility and inclusion in our organization?
I love that one day at a time approach, because this can feel overwhelming. So I think that's really helpful. Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. Let me guess that Elise was with group 4.
Okay, that's great. So we talked about the joy of disability culture and reframing our discussion like that. And our collective action includes publicizing, sharing amongst ourselves inclusive models of practice of arts-based educational programs that feature community involvement, built upon the strengths of the stakeholders, and which we can replicate across the country. And the second sentence is a greater understanding of representation from our speakers and what that means, and fluidity of disability that requires a very progressive mindset at all times.
Thank you for that. 2 jam-packed sentences. Thanks, Elise. So I co-hosted group 5 with Jordan, who has joined our spotlight. And so Jordan has the enviable task of putting our conversation into a couple of sentences.
Yeah, lots of great stuff that was discussed in our group. There are many shifts that need to be made. That's the word that kind of came up, was shifting. For instance, not thinking about accommodations as disability and those synonymous, but instead thinking of it as access for everyone, because that makes everyone's life better, because it only takes one teacher or one person to say, let's try something different. Additionally, we should do a better job at making people feel welcome, ranging from how we treat students with special needs in music classes, for instance, to advertising an event as accessible or having ASL interpreters, etc. These seem like simple shifts that many of us have already incorporated into our work, but it's important to name them. So those are some things we talked about.
Thank you, Jordan. We have 9 whole minutes, and we can use them in a myriad of ways. I wonder if will it be possible technically for us to open this up to the broader group and see if there are comments or things people would like to add? I'd love to do that if we can.
Absolutely. Excellent. So if you have something you'd like to share, you may either type that into the chat, or if you would like, you can unmute at this point and share that verbally with us as well. Any final reflections or thoughts?
It was good to hear some of the thought processes from the group at large. I was a presenter last year and learned so much and made some wonderful associations. So thank you for letting me participate this time. And one of the things that I learned by listening, because I'm on the outside, a lot of people are still in public education. I'm not, I'm on the outside, I'm doing community work. So it was good to see what was going on in some of the school systems. And I'm long in the tooth. So I just kind of shared some of my adventures with the group that I was in.
Thank you, Nancy. It's great to see you here. I remember our time together last year from Able, so it's great to see you here. I'd love to call on John Merrick. Your hand is up. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I want to thank you guys very much. I have high expectations in the way that I haven't taken services until I was 28, with a college education in radio broadcasting and other fields. So my questions of like how does Berkeley communicate with other departments, with those with IDD disabilities, it can help me in understanding why we're just at the first floor level in these people with disabilities. So I want to thank the symposium in a way of that. My question is, I guess you would say, where are we in that process of other departments in getting degrees and opportunities with those with disabilities in a way that we heard from a guest speaker where we are professionally, educationally, are we still at using the iPad only? Are they learning Adobe Premiere, Adobe Pro Tools? Are they learning professional trade software yet? Are we at that point yet for those opportunities for those with disabilities to learn not just real life skill sets as what you guys provide out there with the 52 participants is something great. But are we at that point yet in a way of those type of opportunities with those with disabilities? And I hope by hearing where we are going forward, we may not be at that part, but I do, if you can answer a question, if we are at that point or not, that would help me at least as I heard what we can do forward. The question is, again, are we at the point of professional development for those with disabilities, and where it may not be? I heard a little bit, but please answer. Yeah.
It's a very complex question. And I would say the answer is where it's always going to be a work in progress. It's moving forward. It's different in different places, and it's different with different people. I can speak for what we do at Berklee College of Music, but I can only speak for that one institution. So I think there is work to be done, but I do think we're at a moment where people are ready for the work, and many are engaged in the work in new ways that have really tremendous hope and potential.
Thank you for your perspective.
Is everything where it needs to be? Certainly not. My professional lifetime? Has it moved mountains? Absolutely so. So that's the answer I'll give.
Again, thank you for your perspective on that, and thank you for this opportunity to ask that question.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to share at this time, feel free to raise your virtual hand on the Zoom platform. You can do that by clicking reactions on your toolbar, and there's a raise hand feature, or you could choose a heart or a thumbs up or a clap, whatever you'd like to do at this point. Any other comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, reflections?
Jeff is giving me the nudge to offer our final words for the day. So I want to do a few things. I want to thank you all for being here and being part of this event. This is the first ABLE Conversation Symposium. It will be an annual November event, and it goes in tandem with our ABLE Assembly Conference, which is an annual April event. And those dates again are April 9th and 10th, 2022. And going into the chat right now is the website for the ABLE Assembly, which includes the call for proposals, which is due December 15th. So there's still plenty of time if you would like to propose a session. In addition to the ABLE Conversation in November and the ABLE Assembly Conference in April, we have the Berkeley Institute for Arts Education and Special Needs digital learning series, which is free sessions available on our website of professional development for working with students with disabilities in all art forms. To find our website, you follow this link, okay, which is now in the chat. Huge thanks to Creative Generation, to our Leadership Network and Creative Generation facilitators, to Galen Lee, who has already written me the most lovely, gracious email you've ever seen, to Joyful Signing, who has been tirelessly, and in the case of my quick talking, working way too hard, unfortunately, to interpret with ASL interpretation. I want to let you know that the archive for this session will be available this week. I'll send it out by email to all of the attendees. It will also go on our website for this event. So you look forward to that and get a chance to digest all of this amazing content again. In addition, the Creative Generation folks are going to find some really elegant, awesome way to synthesize what we've all just been talking about and help us think about moving this conversation forward. Thank you all so very much.